It's very simple. You're one step at all times away from somebody changing the whole trajectory of your life. Power of authenticity in business is critical. I'm not asking for people to feel bad for me. I'm asking them to just be part of the journey with me. And if you don't like me, it's all good. There's 7 billion people in the world. We'll get someone else. Your story is boring to you because you live it 24/7. The person on the left of you or the right of you does not live your story 24/7. So they might find it interesting. They might take one tidbit from it and say, I like her or I like him and I want to support them. There's a lot of eyes out there, a lot of ears. Someone wants to know your story. Someone really does. Make sure they hear it.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Unstoppable Marketer Podcast. With me, as always, is my co-host, Mark Goldhart. Mark Goldhart, how are you doing?
I am fantastic. Excited for our guest today, though.
Yeah. New year, starting off with a new guest. New guest, but also not a new guest. Like, you've been on the pod before.
But a lot of learning since then.
It's been probably like 18 months, and you weren't on it.
I was not on it.
You were like sick or something,
I was
so
sick.
it was just you and I.
Yep.
He couldn't be here.
And we weren't in person.
No, yeah.
I'm in Utah. It's beautiful. This place is gorgeous.
Yeah. We caught. So if you're hearing a voice, if you're listening and you don't see, you're hearing the voice of Jake Carls, who is the co-founder, Rainmaker at Midday Squares, which is a CPG company. Good for you snacks, particularly in like the chocolate-y world. What's your one-liner?
Treats.
This is the whole
What's
thing.
your one-liner?
So when we started the company, it was build a functional chocolate bar company.
That's
that
right,
was,
functional chocolate
hybrid
bar.
of, you meet function meets indulgence. Then we now have moved into what I call, we want to be the most trusted and loved afternoon snack in the better for you space globally. That is the mission, that is the vision, that is what we're trying to execute every day. So we started with chocolate products. Now we're moving into we're in breadless peanut butter jelly products. So any afternoon snack that has better for you, ingredients, but also an indulgence is what we're trying to focus on.
Who are you?
Hence midday.
Intentional.
Who are you? Who do you look to? Like, is there a certain brand or a certain brand you're looking to like cast that vision?
So there's two things. So from a storytelling standpoint, which I know we're going to get into today, which is super, it hits home for me at least. I'm a very big believer in storytelling, but Nike, I like, I have no affiliation with them. I just love how they've story told their brand for, 40 years with Phil Knight and how he envisioned that early on of, not about the shoe, but about greatness. Yeah. So that reminded me that we can be not a commodity, but we have to be a product that has an emotion to it. So that's one thing. But from a second standpoint, there's a brand called Perfect Snacks that's based in San Diego, I think.
Okay.
They spent the last 20 so years building the refrigerated snacking category. They did a phenomenal job. Our products are completely different, but we live next to them. So they did a phenomenal job building a brand new set in the grocery store because we live in the refrigerator. Yep. A bar that lives in the fridge is something relatively new. Yep. So we look up to them in terms of infrastructure, not in terms of their products, very different products, but that's something that we've learned a lot from. Yep. And now we're joining that party of fresh snacking and building that out to be hopefully one of the fastest growing sets in the grocery stores. Across all, not just...
I actually feel bad. Usually, we have Midday Squares in our office.
We do.
Well, we're going to get you some. I'm going to send them.
We always get them
$60 a month on Midday Squares.
Yeah, we buy them just here at Harmon's, man.
Yeah, Harmon's is awesome. They were one of our first or earlier retailers in Utah that gave us a chance. And there was these two guys there that were working there. They're not there anymore, but they really believed and they wanted to go all in with us. Yeah. And when we get a chance to go all in with a retailer, we take advantage of that because that could change everything from your retail. Your merchandising can go up. You can get multiple placements in a store. Otherwise, you're just like everybody else. There's typically 30 to 40,000 products in a grocery store. Yeah. How are you supposed to compete? If you don't have the money and the budgets to buy up space, you need relationships, people that believe in you. And then once they do, you got to lean in. And we've had great retail partners now like Whole Foods, Target, Fresh Time, all them, Harmon's that have leaned in, but some just don't. And we see the difference when a retailer doesn't lean in compared to one that leans in. The volume is so different.
Sure. When you say leans in, explain to the audience what you mean by them leaning in.
Believing. I think the belief of not just a transaction, but that they like us, we like them, and there's a two-way communication. What I mean by two-way communication is partnering, and collaborating, rather than this just being it's a transaction. We need this to be a win for them, a win for us, and a win for the consumer.
Yeah. Does that involve the product placement in store?
Yes, where it places, the price point that you structure it at, because again, price architecture on maybe your multi-packs versus your singles versus your big box. But also secondaries, like if you can get end caps, when you're in an end cap, you're disrupting someone's shopping, it pops, right? Yeah. That could be good for trial, but sometimes they charge really big dollars for that. And as a startup brand or an early stage brand, it's very expensive. Number two can be like, you do like a collaboration within the store with another company. They set that up. So there's all these different things you can do.
Yeah.
But what we've noticed is when when a partner actually leans into the partnership with communication and actually wants to work hard, we get to do really cool social media stuff. We get to do really cool collaborative stuff, and the sales velocities per week drive up every time.
Yeah.
And, I give always an example early on. We were a little brand in Montreal, and we were hand delivering products at the time. And there was this retailer called Marché, TAU, and they're like a better for you store. 6 stores, not that big, but in Montreal, it's big for our community.
Sure.
It was a dream to get in there. And we met with the owners. We had a first meeting, and one of the guys named Andrew, they're a family business, and he took a chance. He's like, yo, you guys are bold. You're 3 young entrepreneurs trying to build something. You're crazy. You're whacked out. Like, you guys have so much energy. I want to give you a chance. We had one item, one SKU, one product. And instead of just putting it in one spot in that store where he has 25 plus thousand products, he told his team, let's blow this brand up. And what they did was that they put us in multiple spots in the store, and they put multiple facings. We saw a growth and an increase like we've never seen before. The amount of trial, the amount of hype, the amount of energy that happened from that belief, from him passing on to his team, his store clerks, the cashiers, the managers, it changed everything. So once we understood that early on, I said, how much can we replicate that in bigger retailers?
Yeah.
And we've been able to do it with some mass retailers and some smaller ones, regional. But anytime we get that chance, we feel the energy between people, we go all in, guns blazing, full throttle, all gas to the metal, and we'll dedicate resources, time, and energy because we know that that's the easiest way for us to win at retail and own that category.
Totally.
Because Harmons does that.
Harmons is
Not to get too deep dived into this whole
Sure.
retail situation.
Yeah,
It's a regional, but they have, at least in the last 5 years, they've pushed that refrigerator to the front.
Yep.
With
This
the
is huge.
healthy.
On all end caps.
No
They're
way.
Yep.
I'm going to Harmons after my speech.
Yeah,
after.
go to- there's
You'll
one
have to take-
downtown.
you'll have to take them there.
Right.
Well,
Literally
there's
down
one-
the street
there's
from where
one
you're
right here
presenting.
where there's
And there's one down the street.
Yeah.
But they have a fridge kind of like in the front of the column. So you don't have to go down an aisle. It's right down, right by the cashiers. And that's where they have all their healthy options, like their healthy snacks. And then the whole aisle is around supplements
Yep.
and healthy
Better for
options.
you
Better
as-
for
Better
you.
for you is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's actually growing. I just saw all this data.
And that's where you find Midday Squares, by the way.
Exactly. We're in this better for you fresh snacking set. And everyone always used to make fun of us at the beginning. Why be a refrigerated bar? It's so hard on supply chain. It's so hard for retail. It's so hard for shipping, for D2C. And what we told them was, we really believe the future of snacking is going to be going towards that direction anyways. And for the last 7 years that we built this business, we've seen an increase in placement where it's gone from the back of the store to the front of the store, where it's impulse, it's grab and go, it's now front and center because consumers are requesting that. They're having that behavior. You're giving your kids healthier snacks. You're not growing up necessarily on the high sugared, high processed as much as you would have when we grew up, or maybe other families grew up differently. But for me, I grew up on, high processed stuff because my parents didn't know better.
Sure.
Now, I see my brother and his kids, he's giving them Midday Squares. He's giving them, and they're eating it. And it's it's so fascinating to see. So what I think the next 10 years is going to look like is, you're going to see fresh snacking that grow through not just bars and product squares and things like that. It's going to go into all different things that were never in the fridge. They're now in the fridge because that's the movement that's happening. And I don't think you want to miss it. If you have a brand, CPG brand today, don't go the opposite direction. Or if you're going to go the unhealthy, be very unhealthy and be indulgent, and that's great too.
And
but
own it.
Own it.
Yeah.
Lean into it. Be authentic. Don't be in the middle of that ground. That ground is a weird gray area that I think is slowly disappearing more and more.
Totally.
That's funny. In our snack drawer, we've got Midday Squares. They're in the fridge. But then we also have another Canadian brand. It's Smart Sweets.
They're based in Vancouver.
yeah.
So they're on the West Coast. They're on they're a great brand that built something very fascinating.
Yeah.
So this lady named Tara started it. Brilliant entrepreneur. I don't know if she's still involved, but she superstar scaled that business, and they crushed it because they were reframing the way candy was being eaten, and it's delicious. I find it great. I have it. And
their fish are amazing. They're Swedish fish.
I think that's my favorite one.
They're incredible.
Have you ever had Haven Sweets before? Have you guys heard of Haven Sweets?
No.
Is it based
They're
here?
a newer one. No. I don't know where they're based, but they're like a Haichu-esque.
Oh, cool.
But better for you, no dyes.
Form factor is critical too.
It's awesome.
I think
I'll bring them in.
Textures.
Yeah, please do.
Texture is a
They're my
big thing
favorite,
for even bars. We have a peanut butter flavor, smoother peanut butter,
Yeah.
and then we have a crunchier peanut butter that's I actually enjoy the crunchy peanut butter 10x more. And we're seeing that now consumers are eating a lot more of that one because the texture is mouthful. You actually have to work, not like sticky and chewy, but you have to work your mouth a little bit. And people enjoy that experience. We've noticed that consumers actually want, differences in their mouth, and the sweet chews or the big fish, whatever you call those from Smart Sweets.
There's
I like
endorphins released when you have to chew.
Yeah. Gives you
it's like a whole brain chemistry thing. Yeah. That's why milk duds are so addicting.
We just got into all kinds of fun stuff.
Let's jump into it. So what we really want to talk about is like content, storytelling, authenticity. So let me give some context here. Context is, I don't know if you remember this, but I found you guys, when did you guys launch?
End of 2018, like towards the end.
Okay. So I probably found you in 2020-ish, I would guess, and
hasn't stopped talking about you since, honestly.
He's a good guy. He texts me a lot. He's a good guy.
And I created a piece of content because I started noticing that we started just noticing, this happened in 2018, actually, where the algorithm stopped. It became more pay to play, and brands were no longer organically being seen. And around 2020, 2021, it was becoming a serious problem, especially as iOS 14.5 hit in 2021. And so I started doing a ton of research, like how can brands turn organic content into a distribution channel instead of an like extension of their website.
Yep.
And you were one of the first brands that I saw. I'm like, they're doing it. And so I just created this piece of content, and I found like 2 other brands who were doing somewhat similar stuff. And I just like, I created this piece of content. Hey, Midday Squares, this is why I like them. This is what they're doing. Brand X, I can't remember what the other 2 brands were anyways, someone on your team commented, so Midday commented on it. The video blew up.
It did. It did blow up.
It was like 300,000 views or something like that, which was awesome for me.
And for us.
Yeah. And then somebody started messaging me back and forth, and I was like, dude, I'd love to have you guys I asked them, do you guys just have people following you 24/7? And somebody's like, kind of. We kind of just have people filming us all the time. And then I started talking back and forth. It might have been with your sister.
Probably my sister. She's all over the Instagram.
Her name is Leslie. Yeah. I think it was Leslie. And then, anyways, I was maybe a year later, something like that. I was like, love to have you on the podcast. We had him on the podcast. So this is where it comes. That's the full circle story. And so what Midday Squares is best at is telling a story and turning their content into a distribution channel. Sure, I know you guys run ads. Don't get me wrong. I know you guys do that. But probably in the early stages, you probably weren't.
No.
Or it was very minimal.
Way less, very minimal.
And you're one of the few brands, I would say, in the top probably 5% of people who are actually getting organic reach outside of just what's happening from a paid perspective. And so we want to have you on and let's talk about it. What made you guys decide to take that approach and prioritize the organic side of your business?
I love this. First of all, it's full circle moment to be in person is super cool. Early on, my partners, they were building this product in their condo kitchen, like my sister and brother-in-law, as like just an afternoon snack that was for them. And then they wanted to commercialize it, and they did that. And then they were like, wait, we need to blow this up. If we're in CPG, it's one of the most competitive spaces. You need noise, you need attention. If you can't have attention, you're screwed, right? So they looked around and they were looking for people maybe in marketing. And I was coming off doing a business, throwing parties on college campuses across Canada and trying to sell clothing. I went bust on the business, but the brand was hot. Like I had so many people coming to the parties. I was using Instagram as a storytelling source on stories, on posting, building community. So they asked me, they're like, do you want to join as the 3rd founder of this business? And what you need to do is just blow it up for us. We're introverts. You're an extrovert. You know how to do the storytelling. You're a horrible CEO. We'll be the co-CEOs. And I looked at them and I said, to be honest with you, you're competing in such a hard industry. I don't know if I could even help. I was coming off a breakup at the time, and I closed the business. I was a little bit depressed at the time. And they're like, just, you're in or you're out. And I joined in because I needed a distraction in my life. I needed to figure out my life. Dumped all the money in, and I pitched them on this one concept. I said, guys, if we're going to win in CPG, in the consumer, which is one of the most competitive industries in the world right now, I said, we're going to have to do something so different. And what I did was I looked at the industry of artists, like music and bands, girl and boy bands. And I was like, well, you're going to act like a girl in a boy band, whether it's Spice Girls, Backstreet Boys, but instead of selling records like they do or concerts, we're going to sell chocolate. We're going to tell our story in a way that builds fans. Instead of customers, we're going to focus on fandom. And what that meant was we're just going to show how we build this business behind the scenes. Similar to artists make you fans. You could be a fan of one artist in the band rather than the other one, and you'll want to listen to their music. You'll go to their concert, you'll buy their shirt, you'll do all these things. So I pitched them that, and they were like, what the hell does that even mean? I was like, dude, cameras are going to follow us, whether we're going to put it on a tripod because we can't afford people right now. We'll film, post the raw, unfiltered. And I said to them, if you want even more detail, I said, look at Shark Tank. People are celebrated as entrepreneurs at the time, and this is in 2018. And then you look at reality TV, people love the drama. And then you look at, some entrepreneurs out there that were very bold, like you had the Elon Musks of the world, Richard Bransons. You had all these people that are out there posting and creating marketing through their posting, whether you like them or not. They were creating attention. So I said, let's just build a hybrid of this. Act like a band together. We're all different. Let's share our stories. Let's be bold, and let's show everything behind the scenes. So like people like Shark Tank because it's entrepreneurship, but they're not seeing anything. They're seeing raising money. That's one thing. What about the drama? What about the chaos? What about the shit that goes wrong? The moment where you're about to throw in the towel and you have to make a decision. Capture that. Post raw. And slowly 5 views, 10 views, 20 views, 30 views, 100 views, 1,000 views. Products are getting purchased nonstop. Because people were like, wait, these people are wild. It's like an underdog story. This is like they're hustling and we're living through it front row in this journey, seeing it. So when they went to the store, they didn't just look for a chocolate bar at that point. It was, I know Jake, Nick, and Leslie.
Yeah.
I either hate these people or I love them. So that emotion drew them to the store to want to buy the product. And when I learned that in the first retailer we launched, where it drove community to go buy it, I was like, holy shit, we need to go all in on storytelling. So I said to my partners, we need to hire a videographer and an editor ASAP. This was before like food scientists. And my partner's like, we don't have the money. I was like, guys, I can't keep pulling out a camera in the middle of an argument that we're in, like saying, hey, hold on. It's like, it's inauthentic.
Yeah.
I said, I need the authenticity to come through the camera. This is a good investment. They said, okay, if we're going to do that, we need you to do something for us. So I said, what is it? They said, we're going to go to therapy together. I said, therapy? They're like, yeah, we're family. We need you to show up once every 7 to 10 days in good or bad times, perpetual for the rest of your life if you want to do this business. And in return, we will get on camera and document and share and get videographers and all that stuff, even though we're introverts and we want nothing to do with content.
Yeah.
We both made those agreements, signed papers. I went to therapy. I committed to it, 6 sessions. They were some of the best sessions ever. Constructive criticism, communication. Group therapy. Filmed with cameras.
And keep in mind, so Leslie is his sister.
And Nick's her
husband, right? So brother-in-law. So that's what he means by family, yeah.
Very touchy, right? And we all have past history. We're very big personalities in terms of egos and things like that. So I went to 6 sessions and I loved it after. It was constructive criticism. It was like bullets being fired at me. It was insane. And they started to see the benefits of storytelling. They're like, whoa, we're introverts, but wait, this is driving fandom. It's building community. So those have been the 2 best investments that we've stayed true to till this date, that we go once every 7 to 10 days in good or bad times to have decision-making and therapy. Sometimes our COO, CFO come to. And then also storytelling has been at the forefront of every part of our organization, from the sales team to the media team, to the customer experience team, to the manufacturing team that produces the products. And that's the mindset. It's a mindset of what should we document? Get in the mode of, we should tell this story. We have to tell it. It will be a quality or safety thing. The quality team will be like, call the videographer. We got to capture this. That's the mentality at our business. And what it's done is driven tens of millions, if not over 100+ million of organic views, but built a fan base. And I don't always say it's about views. I actually think it's about how much engagement these people care about your business. Are they showing up at the store when you launch a product to buy and tell their friends about it? Are they fixing your merchandise when they see it's a mess in the store? That's what real community is. It's not just, let's go viral 25, 35 times and get tens of millions of views. Nobody knows who your product is, your brand is.
Yeah.
That's not what we're trying to do. So storytelling is that's what it is to us. And it's helped us raise money. It's helped us get into retailers. It's helped us hire new team members. So it is a secret weapon that I think the cat's out of the bag for everyone is, if you tell a story authentically, you have a chance of getting all that if you want.
Yeah.
And again, I say authenticity as a critical point.
Sure.
If you don't have that, it won't work.
Yeah.
Now, I know we want to get into like the investment. Like, what is the investment in storytelling? How do you do that? How do you look at that as a business? But before we do that, what is your framework of storytelling? Yep. So you say, I mean, it's okay, we're documenting, but you have a story in mind that you're trying to capture. And I'm like, is this like a reality TV? Did that inspire you of how they're capturing these moments? And it's like semi-documentary, but it's semi behind the scenes, are kind of framing it in a certain way. So I'd love to hear about, how are you thinking about your frameworks in the stories you want to tell?
Big inspiration came from the Kardashian show originally on, like, how they documented and shared.
Yeah.
They now have consumable products. If you look, and they've built communities.
Every single one of them has one.
And they're billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And they built their fan base, right? So I watched them, I studied them, and I studied how they story told. And basically what I admired was they were just showing. and building, but they controlled the narrative. No one else controlled it. It was their narrative, right? They own that narrative.
Yeah.
So I said to my partners, like, the framework is very simple. We put out a tripod at the time. Let's film, and then let's just post as we go. And we call the series The Road to 100 Million. We document as if we have a documentary coming once we hit the 100 million of the story that happened every moment in between. So we would document and upload things to Google Drive, like saying what moment it was in time, whether it was a fight about, our first retailer, or we lost an investment. Here's the emotions. It's all documented and put in thing. We have actually 6 terabytes of content since that day, since day one of just B-roll of the business. Once we hired a videographer and an editor, we let them, capture and then edit in a storytelling. So at first it would just show everything. Then now it became more like, okay, like, let's be a little strategic on what we're showing and what makes a difference. So like, okay, we're talking about getting into retailers. Let's talk about that. Let's tell a story about, not just about being on the shelf, but what was the behind the scenes of getting it to the shelf? So that way it was still the road to 100 million, but it was just showing you like how it all actually happened, right? Now we're at a weird turning point where it's like we've scaled the business. We're in 10,000 stores. We're across United States and Canada and, all states, all provinces. And we have millions of customers, but some of them didn't even know our early story of the 3 of us being like the front facing of this business. So now it's not about the 3 of us anymore. It's about how can we evoke an emotion in our content? So for example, does it evoke sadness, happiness, anger, inspiration? That's number 1. And number 2, do we even enjoy watching our content? And it could be it could edit the biggest piece of content. If we hate it, we're not posting it anymore. So instead of just like focusing on everything, we're now focused on bigger campaigns that still tell the story authentically. But the framework now is it a campaign about launching our new product? What was the storyline behind the whole that thing? But like it has to be able to relate to everyone now, not just the early people that watched us day one. It has to relate to them, but also relate to brand new people who have no idea who Jake, Nick, and Leslie are, these 3 characters.
Sure.
So we're opening up more characters. We're becoming less dependent on ourselves in the story. We're just part of the story now. It's not about us, right? So it's an interesting framework. And then like, look, we start leaning into LinkedIn. This is a new one that we started doing personally, each of us. So we said like, how can we use that platform to now drive more industry folks? So like investors, retailers, and like CPG people to just know what we're doing.
Yeah.
So there we just start posting personal stuff that had to do with business, which started getting millions of views. And what that did was it created in relationships with private equity firms, venture capital firms, government officials, banks that were like, we're familiar with these guys now. Maybe we could work with them. So that became the framework. Now is each of us tell our own stories, but the Midday Squares story is now dedicated to big campaigns. It's not so much the day-to-day of like the drama, the reality show of what we started with every day. We still document and capture, but now it's more targeted towards campaign style videos, meme style videos, but again, with authenticity.
But that has more to do with just the size of Midday Squares. Like if you were helping someone start out today, would you still recommend the route that Midday Squares took?
As long as it's true to you. And what I mean by that is I was just speaking at a conference today and I gave this pitch on storytelling and preaching that whole thing because that's my passion. And someone came up to me after and said, well, I used to watch your story and I had a CPG brand and I wanted to be like you guys but then when I tried it, it didn't work. It wasn't working. And I said it didn't work because you were trying to do what we do as authentic. We were showing therapy sessions. You don't need to show up. That's not true to who you are.
Yeah.
Don't get involved in that. You need to identify early on what is true to you. You can get inspiration from a company like Midday Squares or like a Richard Bramson, whoever's a good storyteller. I like Jesse Itzer. He's a wild storyteller. I watch him a lot. But I'm not taking what he does. Yeah. I'm taking maybe inspiration and saying, what is it true to authentic to Jay Carl's or Midday Squares? How do I apply that through? So my advice to early on is find your authenticity day one. Who are you? What does your brand stand for? What do you want your story to be? But don't do it for attention. Don't do it for views. Don't do it because everyone else is doing it. Do it because you want to. And I think that's the big lesson I would say is, yes, maybe you need a videographer to capture it, or maybe you're just doing text, like post a picture with like a big text and it's on LinkedIn and you don't need the videographer to follow you around, but you need to capture, real life photos and you could do that yourself, right? So for us, we knew that the investment in media was a mindset, not okay, we're just doing content. No, we had to get ready to understand that our whole team had to learn how to create content and be okay with cameras showing up in your face in meetings.
Yeah.
Like not even stopping you, just camera put in your face. Doesn't matter how uncomfortable it is. It's being filmed and you have to be yourself. So we trained our team to be okay with that. But now it's not so much in the face. It's more bigger moments. But I would say at the beginning, the big lesson is find your authenticity and make sure it's so clear and then just try to stay within those lanes as time goes on and grow. But You can veer a little bit to learn, but don't veer too much and copy people. You're going to lose that game.
I want to say something about authenticity, because what happened was like in 2018, 2019, 2020, authenticity became like a huge buzzword, like where everyone was using it. And then I've noticed that over the last couple of years, people hate the word.
Which it became synonymous with like deep.
Yeah, exactly. Like people started looking
sensitive.
at it as like deep or heavier, moments, But I think the word is super important still, because what Jake is saying isn't like what Mark said, like go and like deeply express your feelings and share things like this happened to me when I was a kid. That's not what he's saying. What he's saying is you have to figure out what you are comfortable with doing. If you're not comfortable with a camera in your face documenting you, then it will not work. Like if it doesn't come somewhat natural, I don't want to say 100% natural. It
doesn't need to be 100% natural,
right?
just inclination of that.
Yeah, if it doesn't come pretty natural, or you're like, hey, this is fun, that's probably another way to put it. Like, am I having a good time doing this? If it's painful, then you probably shouldn't do it. You just got to figure out what that is. So that's why I want to like just clarify that. He's not saying,
oh yeah,
authentically talk about how you were hurt as a child and how you are now. Now, maybe that story works in whatever you're talking about. I'm not saying not to do that, but that's not what he is suggesting. It's just, what is your type? What is the format that works for you?
I'll tell you this. You're your best version when you are playing your own game. So when I talked about CMO before, that I started CMO, I wasn't playing my game. I was playing the game that I thought people expected of me. Then when I stepped into Rainmaker, I became fucking, bold as sin, and I was living life and I was crushing it. The difference is that I was authentic in the second one, not the first one. Now that story I'm comfortable sharing that story because that was part of business. That was part of my life. I'm not going to share, deep personal things for the sake of getting attention, right? And it's a very fine line, right? So you got to be aware that the moment you start sharing some authenticity, whatever that authenticity is, again, it could be you just, you're into sports and that's your whole thing. That's your authenticity, is you love sports, hockey, and talk about it 24/7. But don't do things because you're chasing views or chasing attention or chasing, pity or all that stuff. Do it because you truly believe it. Yeah. Once you have it, that's the authentic thing. That's the true authenticity. And in our case, we did share like moments of therapy and things like that, but that was part of what we were building, right? It was, that's not for everyone.
Sure.
And not everyone likes it either.
Also, that's an authentic dynamic between a sister, a brother and a brother-in-law.
Yeah.
So we shared, and we were very careful how we shared that story. We didn't share everything.
Yeah.
Again, we always say we documented it all. Yes, but not everything was shared. What we believed was meant to be shared, we shared, and we made mistakes. But I could tell you this. I started on my LinkedIn, and this is a great example of authenticity. I started off my LinkedIn 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago, posting nonsense, quotes, literally quotes of like business.
Yeah.
Because I thought that's what people wanted because of corporate culture in quotations. Then I realized I was getting 5 views, 20 views, 50 views. Nothing was working. Then I started posting me dancing in the grocery stores, sometimes with my shirt off, having the time of my life, 50,000 views, 10,000 views, 20,000 views, 100,000. I was like, holy shit. And the moment I realized me having fun, being myself and posting it and sharing it was what was contagious and getting people excited because they felt the realness. It wasn't gimmicky because they saw it consistently. They're like, this is Jake for who he is. He's not trying to get something out of it. Maybe there's some bad comments here or there, trolls and all that stuff, but that's under 5%. And what I realized was the power of authenticity in business is critical. I'm not asking for people to feel bad for me. I'm asking them to just be part of the journey with me. And if you don't like me, it's all good. There's 7 billion people in the world. We'll get someone else. And that's changed my dynamic on how I think, how we tell our story. And lead with an open heart, be kind. Yeah. And if you have that, then you should always be yourself.
Yeah.
And look, we don't get involved in world events, politics, things like that. That's not authentic to who we are.
Right.
So like, that's also a thing. Some brands do that, right? So again, your authenticity is what you choose is true to you and what you believe, and how much you want to share of it is up to you. One thing I would say is it worked for us. Doesn't mean it's going to work for you.
Yeah.
Can I I want to say something. I'll make a statement and then I want your opinion on it.
Go for it.
Because I think people often assume that authenticity is like this documentary style, right? But from when I hear you talk, there's ways to deliver authenticity. And sometimes if you're not comfortable in a camera doing like a documentary and they're, nitpicking your life or whatever, that's not authentic to you. But sometimes it can be authentic if you like to do skits, right? So it's not necessarily how you deliver this. What you're saying is just make sure that it's real to who you are and your identity.
I love it. You know, you nailed it. And like how you deliver it is your choice. You know, like for me, a big part of my delivery is physical. So like it's actually going to speak at conferences, speak at colleges, go on panels, be in podcast rooms. Like that's who I am. And I love doing that. And people feel that energy when they see it, whether it goes digital after or they're physically there. Some people would say that, you know, just documenting on TikTok is their authenticity, and that's how they deliver it, and you feel the energy. But then they go on a physical thing and it's like, what is this? Yeah. Like it's uncomfortable. So you're right. How you deliver it is part of the authenticity, and you don't need to do it everywhere. You don't need to be a documentarist or whatever it's called, how you document your life and share it. That's one person's version or one company's version. And look, I'm not good on TikTok. I'm going to be honest with you right now. I thought I would, but I still haven't hit it. I don't understand it. Maybe my content's not resonating. I'm acting different. I don't know what it is. Yeah. But then when I go on Instagram stories, that's who I am. And when I'm physically in places, I really feel alive. Yeah. And the way you know if you're being authentic is it should feel like flow. It shouldn't feel like there shouldn't be so much friction. There shouldn't be so much anger or unhappiness. It should be exciting. Yeah. You should feel alive. You feel joy. That's where your real authenticity is, no matter how much pain you're going through, whether that's like a moment of heart failure or something like that. That's where you got to know that's authentic. And you'll know. I can't tell you what your authenticity is. I can't tell you what yours is. Yeah. But what I could tell you is in speaking with you and now getting to know you is you guys have an authentic energy. Like where conversation is not, it doesn't seem like this is fake or artificial or for just views or like it feels like this is a genuine conversation. You guys care about storytelling. You guys care about this and I love it. And I feel the energy. And even the text, you were always very encouraging to my brand, supporting my brand. I felt that. And that's why we became friends. Yeah. So it happens all over your life. It's just how you put that into your business. Yeah. You choose. And there's not one way. It's not one size fits all. It could be a million sizes. Yeah. And know that.
You know, I went through something like this. So like, you know, I create content and I used to be, at first I was like the tips and tricks marketing guy, right? And then I'm like, oh, I want to do this documenting storytelling side of things. And I started doing it. And I went from like crushing my views, good things happening for our business to like everything tanking. And it was because like, I am not the guy to get a camera and be like, okay, I need to film myself doing it. Like it was just painful for me to do that. And so I did that for like a year. Things were not working good for me. And then I'm like, you know what? I am like, whether I like it or not, like I am comfortable being the tips and tricks guy. Like I like giving people information. I like giving value. Storytelling, documenting is a value of entertainment. That's right? All it is. Tips and tricks isn't a value of entertainment. It's a value of learning and education, you know? And so there's a different way. And so I went through that journey like over the last 3 years and over the last maybe 8 months.
I think it's a lifelong journey.
This, you know? Oh yeah, for sure. So it happens, you know, whether it's a personal brand, whether it's a brand, whatever it might be. I like that concept. One thing I want to kind of like revert this conversation is, so I was meeting with a client yesterday and they're in the baby apparel space, like baby clothing space. Okay. And we're talking about how they can grow organically. Like we're having this conversation and I'm kind of like saying, okay, here are the 3 different ways you can do it. You can either be entertaining, and the way you entertain is you're funny, you're documenting and storytelling, you're inspiring, you know, like that's a way to entertain. You're providing value. Like those generally tend to be the ways like you can grow is you're providing value, or you're just being wildly polarizing. That's doing neither. I guess that's entertaining too. I think Donald Trump, he's not necessarily doing anything specific, but he's just so polarizing that it's entertaining, you know? Yeah. Let's call it.
And he does it intentionally. Yeah. Like he's intentionally Musk, right? polarizing.
But intention, and this comes back to anything, whether it's polarizing or it's skits or it's comedy, you need intention because that's part of the authenticity. Yep. It really is.
But one of the questions they asked, and I think that this is I get this question all the time. And so I love that it happened to me yesterday and I want to ask it to you. The question was, so Midday Squares, anytime I'm like, you know, I've got a list of probably 13 brands now that I like really love to show that are doing it all a different way. Midday Squares is one of those 13 brands, right?
Thank you.
And so I'm showing them like, you know, walking through the different like avenues they can go down. And I bring up the documenting, you know, side of it and the storytelling side. And I tell them everything you've said. I'm like, if it doesn't feel natural, you can't do it.
Yep.
But if it does, you totally can. And their question was, but what mom who's wanting to buy kids clothing, baby clothing, is going to want to see us building a business?
Let me answer that.
Yes.
My opinion. We have a natural tendency as humans to think our story is boring. And that comes back to insecurities, fear. I've had it in my life many times that I was like, you know, who the hell wants me see me make a chocolate bar? That's the most boring thing ever. Like, you pour chocolate and you mix some things. It's just boring. But when you changed to how to build a business about that, it became entertaining. There's emotions. There was, wait, that was really cool how they make it. It was so hard to get one product to even a shelf.
Well, there's real things on the line too.
Real things. There's risk. There's energy, right? So what I would say to this person, and it doesn't matter if you're selling plumbing, baby clothes, chocolate, podcasting, whatever it is, your story is boring to you because you live it 24/7. The person on the left of you or the right of you does not live your story 24/7. So they might find it interesting. They might take one tidbit from it and say, I like her or I like him and I want to support them. And this business making clothes, baby clothes, wow, she's putting so much effort, so much craftsmanship, so much time. She's dedicating her life, her passion to building this. I want my baby to have something from someone like that. I want to give that person a chance. And then when the product comes and there's product market fit, repurchase. Yep. Boom. You can't build a brand without product market fit. So let's give in that.
Yeah. Yep.
But we have an innate ability to be fearful of what people think of us and what we're judged or public failure or all these things. You got to work on the muscle in your head, in your brain, in your body that fights that. And I think it was Jeff Bezos. I'm not sure, but he wrote in one of his last letters as chairman to the board. I think he wrote, fully paraphrasing, something along the lines of like, you should spend all your energy in your life to protecting your atypicalness and like letting that shine. So you spend all your energy fighting the conformity because the world will conform you. Business conforms you. And when you have the conformity, you just want to fit in. You don't want to take the risk. It's not worth it. It's scary. So why should I do it? No one's going to listen to me. I'm boring. No one's going to care about my building a baby clothing business. But that's incorrect. That's what's unique about you. You're doing something great. You're doing something against all odds.
Yeah.
There's not that many entrepreneurs in the world. People think there is. There's not as many as people think. Not many people have a podcast. You might see a lot of podcasts, but it's not actually that many in the grand scheme of things, right? And I think showing that side is already putting you, I want to learn more. This is different than the current lifestyle I live.
Yeah.
And I don't know, when I teach guest lectures at university, I always document and share it because I'm like, I didn't do well in school and now I'm at school. So my story is like, it's super cool to be in a classroom. It's a privilege to now give, students inspiration about storytelling. But the cool part about it is that, I find it interesting because not everyone's doing that. So people are like, oh yeah, what a story this is.
Yeah.
And I think once you build that muscle over and over and over and over again, compound it, you eventually become so strong where you don't care. And you're just like, not everyone's going to love it. And I'm going to do it. And you start selling a lot of products because there's, again, 360 million people in the United States, I think. There's 40 million in Canada. That's 400 million in North America. Yeah. And then you've got 7 billion in the world. There's a lot of eyes out there, a lot of ears. Someone wants to know your story. Yeah. Someone really does. Yeah. Make sure they hear it.
Yeah. What I love about what you said so far, Jake, is another ingredient of storytelling, because we talk about the frameworks, but maybe the best kind of storytelling starts with zooming out from yourself, right? Because we get so caught up in our own world, right? Because we're just experiencing one slice of the world. I can only experience what I perceive. And so you tell yourself stories without zooming out and thinking like, well, everyone loves gossip.
Yep.
And why do they love gossip? It's because it's stories about other people.
Exactly. It's emotional.
It's emotional. So why do people like gossip? And it's not even bad gossip. People just like hearing stories about other people. Yeah. Like, oh, tell me more about that. Like, and if they feel a personal connection to that gossip or that person, it has even more weight.
It's crazy. And if you look back to how the brain works, like, for generations, our ancestors were telling stories about, believing in something, working together, sharing wisdom, working as villages. They fell in love with each other. They made babies. They continue to pass that on. So our brains have been hardwired to understand stories. And what that means is when I share a story with you two, your brain, whether you realize it or not, releases a chemical called oxytocin, which is the trust and empathy chemical. And what you do is you start to feel part of the story. You put yourself in those shoes. So you start listening. Your brain starts to light up 6-7 spots rather than if I told you, hey, Midday Squares has 4 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, and these ingredients. You'd be bored as stiff. Because there's no story there. It's just facts. So once you understand that you want to release the 6 to 7 parts in people's brains, someone's going to care about your story. You think it's boring because it's your story, but you're living something different than 7 billion people in the world. Yeah. We're only different because of what we've experienced in the world and our DNA. Other than that, we're humans, right? Yeah. And we might live in different parts. You guys living in where you are compared to where I live, we've had very different experiences. We both have businesses. That's maybe one commonality. but I have millions of different experiences. You have millions of different experiences than me. So I'm automatically going to find
And you
your other
probably
experience.
understand French, so.
Yeah, je parle français, ouais, c'est français where I'm from. It's French where I'm from. That brings a whole new culture.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like for me, like if anyone's listening to this that's starting out or scared to share their story or be authentic, it's very simple. You're one step at all times away from somebody changing the whole trajectory of your life, whether that be an investor that invests in your business, whether that be someone sitting next to you on the plane that hears your story and says, I want to be your partner. Whether it's someone at a dinner restaurant on a date that you fall in love because you're sharing stories that becomes who you marry.
Yeah.
Increase your surface level. The world allows you to do that with the internet and social media. Yes, there's paid ads that helps, it amplifies, all that stuff. But you have a chance for the first time in history to reach anybody. You could reach the president, you could reach the prime minister, you could reach anyone by chance.
Yeah.
But you can only do it if you do it. So once I understood that, I said, screw it, I'm doing it every day. Good, bad, ugly, it's going to go up. Deal with the negativity, deal with the positivity that comes from it. But at least I'm increasing my surface level and there's a chance. There's a chance that my life changes from it.
Yeah.
Good or bad.
This podcast is brought to you by BFF Creative. BFF Creative is a software that meets services. Any marketing collateral you need, whether that's ads, emails, print designs, or social media, all you have to do is submit a request and one of BFF Creative's qualified designers will create a design for you and it'll be completed in 2 to 3 days. BFF Creative allows you to submit as many requests and as many revisions as you can with just one monthly fee. And the best part is that it's month to month. No contracts, no hidden fees, no nothing. And if you use promo code Unstoppable30, you'll get 30% off for your first month on us. Just go to bffcreative.co, pick your plan, and sign up today. One thing that makes me nervous. So we all know AI, like we're in the wake of AI. Yep. AI is awesome. Like we use it as our agents in our agency all the time to help us with operations, efficiency, et cetera. I think you talked about you using it as well. Right now, there's a huge exodus of people being like, hey, I can push all of my content to AI because AI can do anything. It can train my voice. Like literally we could train my voice and me to look like I'm giving tips and tricks all day long.
It's wild.
Like what are your thoughts around that right now?
Again, huge fan of AI like you guys are. We are manufacturers. We use it for a lot of our ops and my partners love it. I love it. Where I think there's one blind spot potentially is I think one of the last unfair advantages in this world, especially in storytelling and communications and building fandom or community, is being human.
Yeah.
So as everyone rushes to do the content that you're talking about or using that, people that have never done content before ever,
yeah,
you have an inflow of information, overload, and you could identify a lot of similarities in it. The unfair advantage is just be the opposite. And the opposite is just you being your actual self and letting that humanization come through. And I'll give you an example. You know, I go through Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn every day and TikTok, and I'll look through the DMs from people commenting on our products or saying like how much they love it or posting about it. And, you know, I'll go spend 20, 30 minutes a day typically if I'm in Montreal, where I'm from, and I'll send a video. I press the button. First, I look their profile up. I see what they like. I see they have a dog, a cat, they like hockey, whatever. And I thank them. I say, hey, this is Jake, one of the co-founders of Midday Squares. Alex, you know, I was looking at your profile. You're awesome. You got this energy. That's what I feel. I just want to say thank you on behalf of everyone here. We really love you. And you just promoting our stuff, getting it at Harmon's, we appreciate it. Send the video. It's so human that every single reaction is like it's refreshing to the consumer. And I had a friend say to me, why don't you just automate that? AI will do the same voice to get the video. I said, because the replication of the feeling that I see from those 20 people a day is whacked out. It's true fandom. So I believe if you want to continue to build true fandom, use your last unfair advantage in content and storytelling and in how you show up is just be yourself. And AI can amplify certain things about it. Use it. But still bring that human of who you are, and who I am. That's what makes us great in the end of the day. This is just a tool to help us become better.
Yeah.
But keep what makes you great originally.
Yeah.
Keep sharing that.
It reminds me a lot of, what is that art form in Japan?
I love Japan.
Where it's...
I don't know.
I don't know it either, but
it's like kintsugi. I know. Where's our
Grayson?
Usually our producer, he's Japanese. Half Japanese, but it's called kintsugi, I think. But it's like that pottery that's broken, and then they fill So they remake the pottery after it
interesting.
breaks, and it like has gold in it. So anyways, it's like the beauty of something that's broken, that's remade, that has, you know.
It's relatable.
It's relatable. So it's almost like that's becoming the content, you know, and it already has with social media and TikTok. It's like, hey, be more authentic, be real. Like, we don't care about your glamorized life or whatever. But I like what you're saying, because the more human you are, the more rough edges there's going to be.
And more trust is built.
Yeah.
Or more hate. People are going to dislike you. That's totally fine too. I always say, I'd rather be chaotic and on average than be mediocre and be like safe.
Yeah.
It's the worst to be safe. You're not going to do anything. No one in the world that did any greatness was mediocre. They all took on average decisions, which is just them being themselves.
Okay, last question before we let you go. How do you convince business owners to invest in content? It's easy for them to spend money on ads, but a lot of times it's like, hey, if you're going to spend $100,000, why don't you invest 10 grand into creating content? What's your message for them?
From personal experience, we've raised $10 million from posting on social media organically. Them watching our journey on LinkedIn, investors not saying anything, just watching consistent posts of our good, bad, ugly, building trust without us even knowing. So then we reached out, the foot was already in the door. They said, we love you guys, we trust you guys. Let's get this due diligence done quickly. Like that. Second, retail partners that we work with, some of the biggest in the world, I'm not gonna say some of their names, some of the biggest in North America, have literally reached out to us because they've watched the content. And they said, you guys are wild, entertaining. We want to work with you. The leaning in that we talked about at the beginning happened because of the stories. They felt connected, emotionally connected. Without those people, that investor, I wouldn't be with you today, number one. Without those retailers, our business wouldn't be as big as it is today. The simple commonality in both of those was storytelling was what caught their eye and what got them engaged. And then product market fit was what actually kept them in. Awesome. So knowing that you know that from just this simple case study, why not create your surface level where you can get opportunities like that?
Love it.
Love it. Where can people find Midday?
www.middaysquares.com. We'll show you the store locators of anywhere. But in the stores here in the US, Target, Albertsons, Fresh Time, Whole Foods, Harmons, many, many more in the refrigerated section or on our website, you know, on www.middaysquares.com. Add me on social, Jay Carl's, LinkedIn, Instagram, and follow Midday Squares. You'll follow the reality show on the road to 100 million.
Love it.
Let's do it.
Well, thanks, brother. Appreciate your time. Enjoy your conference. I know you're speaking at another thing here, and enjoy.
Got to bring
Miami.
the energy again.
That's right.
Let's do it.
Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you for listening to the Unstoppable Marketer podcast. If there's a brand, campaign, strategy, or marketing tactic that you want us to review, please DM me at @TrevorCrump on Instagram or TikTok, or at the Unstoppable Marketer podcast. And of course, if you got value from this episode, or if you like it whatsoever, please make sure you're subscribing, you're liking, you're following, and for sure, go leave us a review to let us know that we're doing a good job. We will see you guys next time.